Well, this week my good friends Chris and Casey Kiefer have hooked me up on an absolute dream hunt. Casey and I have been talking for the last couple years about getting on a hunt together, and we just never were able to get our schedule straight. But finally this year, I drew a governor's land tag in Iowa. They said, man, we have got the perfect spot. The Midwest Antler Company is where it's at.
The guide, Chad, who we're fixing to meet tonight, he's already killed a 182 on his place that we're hunting. He said it's rocking and rolling right now.
You know, not knowing anything about the place, I knew if the monster buck killing Kiefer brothers hunted there, that we couldn't go wrong. Because of Iowa's rich agriculture, it said that it can sustain 100 deer per square mile. And I know all you farmers out there probably got mixed feelings about how populated your deer herd is now, but I gotta tell you, from a bow hunter's perspective, it's paradise.
Welcome to Iowa, dude.
So when we got there, Casey took me out to the truck and showed me a absolute giant rack.
Look at that.
That doesn't even make any sense.
That's a stud.
I don't even know how to describe this deer except that he was about yay wide. Don't even have a big enough lens to show how wide he was.
26 wide at his widest point. So, didn't even have pictures of him.
Just a little Chuck Adams pose. He's
Yeah,
200 right there.
Just a deer that showed up.
Yeah.
So,
Good Lord, man.
I knew that being with Casey and his family and Chad and his family, they're all just good people, so we were gonna have fun no matter what. We were out for monster bucks, and it did not disappoint. Monster bucks is what we got.
We're hunting out here and they just cut this corn. We've got a big cedar thicket right to my back. And this is just a great little path where they're coming in out of these cornfields or wherever they've been feeding at night and going back into this cedar thicket. It was about 25 degrees when we left the truck this morning, so it's nice and cold. They're just getting fired up. They're starting to chase a little bit, so first day.
All your frustration, set them free. Won't you come lay down with me?
We hadn't seen many deer at the spot. We figured we'd give it one last shot. You know, we need a little bit of drop in temperature too. It warmed up, got real windy today, so that didn't help us out. But it's day one, it's still early.
Wait to me, don't keep me waiting. I won't let go, I won't let go, I won't let go until you know. I won't let go, I won't let go, I won't let go.
We've got a bunch of does in the corner of this cornfield. We were hunting just up on the hill yesterday. We've moved down into this little creek bottom. Little buck came through this morning, a little 6-pointer, but they didn't come out. Deer didn't move at all last night in the daylight anyway. So they got to be hungry. And these deer have just moved into the field, so hopefully we'll pick up something in this travel corridor. You know, bouncing between these cornfields. Cold front's coming in. It's supposed to be rain and snow and temperature drop. So hopefully that'll help get these deer moving. They're just not moving right now. It's only day 2. We got a few days, and we just got to find that big buck.
Make your way to me, don't keep me waiting, 'cause I'm going crazy with anticipation. Make your way to me, don't keep me waiting. I won't let go, I won't let go, I won't let go till you know. I won't let go, I won't.
Well, we didn't have much luck by the creek. Didn't see any real good bucks, so we decided to move to another spot. It's a little thicket of cedars, and this spot, when I saw it, I was really excited about it.
All through the night, there's no need to rush. We'll take our time. Give me your heart, I'll give you mine. I won't let go, I won't let go, I won't let go until you know. I won't let go, I won't let go.
A bunch of does came running through there. They were everywhere. In fact, one big doe hopped the fence and walked straight to us.
Let go.
Tip of the week: if your arrow and your rest make a loud noise when you draw your bow, change either your rest or your arrow.
I figured if I could get halfway through, even if you caught that last little bit, I could still pop her right there. And she looked up, you know. She just saw me out of the corner of her eye and went.
This definitely was going to be one of the best places we were going to hunt all season, and climbing down out of the stand that night, you know, it was a pretty big letdown based on the fact that we have not been seeing that many deer. We just weren't seeing the big bucks that we expected to see. Well, day 3 brought the rain and the snow, and by the time we got in the stand on day 4, it was windy as you can imagine it being. And of course, we picked the smallest trees in the whole state of Iowa to hunt out of on the windiest day of the year.
Could have done without that. We sat just up the hedgerow this morning, and they said it was a 20-mile-an-hour wind, but it felt like a lot more than that. I saw a pretty good buck come through the CRP, and then we saw a second pretty good buck. Couldn't tell a whole lot about the first one, but the second one looked like about a 138 pointer. We're sitting in a little row of cedars. We're sitting in a stand that they call the ratchet stand, because in order to make a full-size tree, they had to ratchet strap 2 trees together.
It was basically 3 cedars about like this, ratcheted together.
When I stepped into it, my other foot touched the ground. I pushed back off and tightened the ratchet strap.
We had been sitting there a little while, and I was thinking, man, I sure would like to be in a ground blind in the middle of that CRP somewhere, because you could see antlers out there, you could see a ton of does moving through the area, and all of a sudden, the buck stands up.
Okay, dude, he's a monster. Yeah, well, he'll pick his head up. He's a monster.
From 400 yards away, I immediately knew that he was the biggest deer I had ever seen in my life. You don't even have dreams about deer like this. You have nightmares about deer like this. And I gotta tell you, from 400 yards away, my heart was pounding out of my chest.
Come on, dude, just run down here and check it out. It's worth a look.
And I wanted it to be the classic, like you see on TV. You rattle the horns, oh, here he comes, boys. We're gonna put the horns away and shoot that big old 200-inch deer like it's, but it doesn't always work out. They don't have a script.
He's running away. Why are you going away, you doofus? I swear I think that doe that ran up behind him, he just scent checked her and ran after her.
He seemed interested in the fight at first, and then a hot doe stood up behind him, and he followed her on off, and that was it. We got to watch him on the skyline for a few minutes.
I think he smelled her, though. I think it's the only explanation, because he turned and just...
Find a bigger one.
Yeah. There's still does and bucks up there, skyline right there. Beautiful day here at the end. It was windy all morning. Gorgeous, gorgeous day right now. Perfect for hunting. Called in 2 coyotes just now. It was turned in such a way I couldn't get a darn shot on them. I caught that darn thing into 24 yards, but the way this stand's set up, I couldn't. This limb's in my way, and I couldn't turn my body to shoot. I'd have had him, man. Called him in from all the way across the creek with my index finger just gone. Today we saw probably the biggest deer we've ever filmed on Red Arrow TV. So far, he was a monster deer. Stood up in the field, had a great day, man. It was just everything but the killing.
Well, that night we got back to the truck, and it turns out that Chad and Casey knew exactly who the buck was that we saw.
One of them's like a big, just straight heavy 8, I think. And then the other one's just Godzilla. I don't know
Just
what
tines everywhere.
Yeah.
Double.
It's actually a buck they've been getting a lot of good trail camera pictures of, and they know him as Double because he's got split mule deer splits on his G2s and G3s.
Oh boy, he's a
Thing
beast,
is a
dude.
giant.
Yeah.
We roughed him at 195.
I don't want to say the magic number, but he's all over it.
We had him youth season in the video right over here when they were combine corn. 340 yards.
We are from Virginia, though. You liable to get that tape back, and we just saw 160.
We did get a pick-me-up that night, though. And although Casey and I had fallen on some rough luck as far as getting a big buck killed, Brian Park, the owner of Strother Bows, had killed a really nice 10-pointer that night.
He does. Got big old cigar tines too, doesn't he?
Banana rack.
Yep, look at that. Big heavy tiners. Drilled him too. Oh my gosh, look at that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I missed him at 40 and hit him at 46.
Yeah.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
That's awesome. That one right there didn't miss, I can tell you that. Holy smoke.
Awesome.
You're up next, dude.
Dang all right.
Hey, working.
You know, the next day rolls around and the wind was just all kinds of wrong for this spot. And because of how hard the wind is blowing, we decided to head back to the cedar thicket.
It's Friday morning. I think we've got 2 more days to get it done. If we can get the wind right, we're gonna go back and hunt that big deer that we saw yesterday. We might try to do something with it later, but it's a beautiful morning. It's nice and cool. It's a big, heavy frost. They just starting to get fired up. They're really just nose and does, see if anything's coming in. So hopefully they'll start getting aggressive and we can rattle one in. We'll see. We need a red arrow. We ain't had one in a long time.
The wind was howling so much that, Josh and I could barely hear each other raising our voices in the same tree. These deer were so freaked out by this that they just seemed to be just running all over the place all day.
Is that a button buck?
Even when this little deer comes by, we're trying to figure out if it's a button buck, because at this point, I'm ready to shoot a doe. I'm ready to kill something. We couldn't even get it to stop.
Josh was having like conniption fiddle bangs, trying to stop these deer. And I'm like, it's a button buck, is it a button buck?
She's like rain, she rolls in, but there's sunshine in her thunder. Makes the loneliest heart wonder if the ride is worth the pain. Might not be storm clouds inside, oh, but don't you worry, friend. She's coming around the bend, she's holding lightning in both hands.
You know, we had 2 more days to get it done. We wanted to hunt this big deer. The problem is, he lives in a huge CRP field with not a whole lot of trees. Our only option with the wind we had was this one huge poplar tree. We decided that's where we were gonna hang our stand. It's the only spot we had.
All she knows to do. She's tumbleweed rolling, river running wild, hurricane blowing. She's gone.
And you know, it's basically in the middle of these huge crop fields, just over the hill from the CRP from where we hunted the day before. It's one of those things where you can see a long way. You know you're gonna see a lot of good deer. The question is, are they gonna walk by your tree stand in bow range?
Might not be storm clouds inside, oh, but don't you worry, friend. She's coming around the bend, she's holding lightning in both hands. She's like rain, she rolls in, but there's sunshine in her thunder. She's coming around the bend, she's holding lightning in both hands.
Well, it's the last day in Iowa. We've had some bad wind. We just
hadn't been able to get it done for whatever reason. It's the last night. We only got a couple more hours. And you got to head out. So.
Well, Josh and I make the move to the skyscraper stand, and it does not disappoint. We saw him.
Oh, it's him. Walking this way right now.
Yep.
He's coming this way.
Of course, he's got the doe with him still.
There's a doe in front of him, kind of to his right. He's coming pretty fast.
What I did do is I called and grunted and rattled a little bit, and that sucker came in to about 100 yards. He was focused on that one doe and was not gonna leave her. And we're seeing this deer, and I look up over to my right on the crest of this cornfield.
He's a pretty buck.
It is a probably right around 175-inch 10-pointer. It's got its G2, which was about that long, just snapped right off.
Here comes that doe.
And then he gets distracted by another buck, chases him back over the hill. The clock is ticking. We've got about 10 minutes of shootable light left. And, you know, we've got 2 world-class deer hung up just out of range. And, you know, I was about to come apart, man. My anxiety was through the roof. It's just, they're right there. All they got to do is make a move and come in.
Probably scared of double. Oh yeah, he came check out and see what was going on. What a cool day of hunting though. That was seriously one of the coolest days ever. I just wish we had been closer, you know. That's amazing you see a deer like that. I just wish he was 60 yards or less.
Well, once we saw that 170 crest the hill, man, we kind of figured that was our last opportunity, and we had already lowered a bunch of our gear down. We were packing up and getting ready to leave, and I see antlers coming over the rise where we saw that 170 disappear. It's a beautiful 8-pointer. He's heading right to our tree, and we've got about a minute left of shootable light to fill my Iowa tag, and it looks like it's gonna happen. We're about out of camera light. I shouldn't even say about. We're pretty much out of camera light. Josh and I talked about it. He was like, you know what, man, as hard as we've hunted and the bad luck we've had this season, go ahead and fill your Iowa tag, and I'll get the best footage I can. Draw back the bow. Touch off right behind the shoulder. Feeling the shot, seeing where the arrow hit, I knew I smoked him. The problem is, I'm watching this deer run off, and he's got about this much arrow sticking out of him.
Go down.
That doesn't look, something about the shot just didn't look right, but I'm waiting for him to tip over. But he doesn't.
He got wobbly, you see?
This deer runs over the hill out of sight, and I'm thinking, all right, well, he's dead right there. I put it right behind his shoulder.
That's a big 8.
You know, it's last light footage, but it's right there. It's 8 yards, like straight down. So,
Awesome.
yeah, man. I think we got him. It's making me nervous, man. I've never had such a hard couple weeks of luck, man. I about threw up when we went over the hill. I was hoping he'd fall, because when he first started staggering, I was like,
Yep.
touchdown, you know?
Yeah.
And then he got his crap back together. He ran a little more, and then he did that panic run.
Yeah.
And right when we saw his rack crest the skyline,
How close was double?
he broke 200 yards, 100.
You're the closest one then.
Well, we go back and we review the footage with Casey and Chad and everybody. And man, everybody's like, oh, you got him, you know, he's smoked, he's down, you know, you got enough arrow, you shot him right behind the shoulder. And we decide to go back and look for him the next day.
Gave him plenty of time, you know, if it's a single lung hit, hopefully, you know, he'll be dead in that little CRP field right there, but Casey's out in his tree stand, and we're gonna go sort of tiptoe in where we last saw blood. We found part of my arrow. The exit wound side of the arrow came out of his shoulder, we think. He's gotta be dead in there. It's just if we can pick up the blood trail and find him. It's a massive CRP field, so long night for me, but hopefully it'll pay off and he'll be laid out there dead. Moment of truth.
All I want is one reason to believe you after what you've done. There's nothing you can say. You can't give me one reason not to leave you, even though it hurts. I gotta walk away.
We gave this thing a good shot, didn't we? But missed the mark on the target. I couldn't hit the heart, evidently. So far to fall from the place that we should be. So far the only thing I have is what could be.
A shot like that close, I don't care if it hits the shoulder blade or not, that should have gotten at least this much more penetration. So we looked for this deer, and it just wasn't looking good, man. I knew that the blood that we found was just kind of superficial, you know, nothing. It definitely wasn't arterial, it wasn't lung blood, it wasn't any kind of vital hit. I knew that when I was trailing it, even though I kind of lied to myself for a few hours there hoping we were gonna find this deer. It was a big letdown, man, when I found that arrow and just lost blood and knew that this deer was not gonna be found.
Got to leave you, even though it hurts. I gotta walk away.
You know, every time I turn an arrow loose, I got bad intentions. I want to kill something quickly. In this case, I knew that I had not put a mortal wound on this deer for whatever reason, whether it was equipment failure or the shot wasn't quite where it was supposed to be. And it was really just driving me crazy.
Stop, game over. We done here. I'm leaving, I ain't no love here.
As we got in the truck to head home, I was thinking, man, you know, what a disaster that turned out to be. Went from the best week of hunting we've ever had to just total catastrophe there at the end. And I was sick all that whole week, right up until the point Chad sent me this trail camera picture.
Life will hit you hard as you can take.
Of the buck I shot. A week later. This deer was very, very healthy, very alive and well. Really a big relief, a big weight off my chest to know that that deer is still alive and that you can see this entry hole, and the buck is almost facing completely away. You can see the entry hole where the broadhead tried to go in right behind the shoulder. Just got unlucky. Equipment malfunction or anything else, man, you want to kill that deer cleanly, and it's always a disappointment if you have trouble with that. And I got to tell you, I went from the lowest low to the highest high just knowing that that deer was alive. You know, I'd have been more happy if he was dead and with me than in my freezer than knowing he's alive and walking around. But that's the lesser of the two evils there, losing him as opposed to him being okay, for somebody to you know, benefit from that deer in the future. And you know, hopefully one of you guys and I will have a great story about, man, I shot a deer last week and he had a broadhead scar. You know, hopefully you tell me right in the 10 ring. Well, we're not giving up, man. We will stay strong. We're coming back out there for round 2.
It's just kind of a little bonus trip anyway. It's sort of, we're gonna fly up to Iowa, you know, just right over to Iowa. Once we get there, we've got 3 days, basically 3 days now of bow hunting. Last 3 days of the season, still got a tag, might as well try to fill it. Then our big hunt is Illinois. So now we are westbound and down.
Ice down that igloo cooler. Tank of gas that ought to do her.
West Virginia is 70 degrees. It's cold as a well digger's hind parts in the Klondike up here. I'm going to put clothes on in the gas station bathroom real quick.
With only food and gas stops, we made it out there in about 30-ish hours. Pulled into the hotel and Chad's about to come meet us, take us out to the spot, but I wanted to get out here. I hadn't shot the Vendetta much this year, and I wanted to give it another try. And I've had good luck with this bow, man. I killed a lot of deer with this bow last year. And just making sure I got some fine-tuning sighting in to do right now. Seems to be hitting. We're gonna try it at 50 yards. I shot my bow a couple times, put some Ramcat broadheads on there that were flying nice. We put all that blade up in something. There's no deflections, there's no, oh, it didn't open. There's just death. I had had success with them in Montana, and that was the only time I ever used them on my buck in Montana, and it did a heck of a job. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by any broadhead company. I don't have obligation to say this at all. It outpenetrated everything else in the industry in testing, ballistics gel tests. It flies like a field tip, and it just looks nasty.
Good, made it back, huh?
What's up, big man? How you doing?
Yeah, dude, made it back.
We met with Chad and his son Bo briefly. We got our gear ready, and hey man, it was time to get the tree stand.
Feel a good one, feel like a good one. I can feel a good one coming on.
Sitting in the stand, you can tell, man, this is a hub. This is a place where deer are going to transition from every direction. We got thickets on different sides of us, a couple different thickets, some tilled under corn and some cut cornfields. The main thing that impressed me about this spot was the amount of deer sign, and then as soon as we got settled in, I understood why. Because it didn't take long for about 8 or 10 does to come filtering through there.
We gonna roll all night. We gonna get the feeling right. We gonna keep this party rocking till the break of dawn. Yeah, I can feel a good one.
As soon as I saw a doe I liked, which to me is any doe that doesn't have milk dripping off its lips, and boy, I picked one out that looked like a sheet of plywood, and I let her have it. It's a good feeling to just go ahead and get that confidence deer out of the way, especially when you hadn't shot a deer in a while and you've been holding off. Man, it feels good to put that broadhead and that carbon shaft up in something.
The Iowa curse has been lifted. We didn't hurt anything. They were gonna bust us anyway. Dean and I are fresh out the hotel room. We didn't get any sleep last night. Drove off through the night. Got up in the tree stand. Shot a doe within the first 15 minutes probably. Saw her start to go down and she went out of sight. We're gonna go get the arrow first. Take a look at that, then we're gonna go back and get the vanish.
Even killing a doe like this, for me, just it doesn't get old. I love to bow hunt, man. It's just something about bow hunting that I can't describe to anybody else unless you've actually done it. So I'm just thankful to have this deer, and thankful to have the opportunity to do this every day, man. This is a pretty sweet deal we got going on right here.
Well, on day 2, we liked what we saw from the stand I killed my doe in, and I didn't think we'd hurt that area that bad.
I'll limber up a little bit before you shoot your bow and this stuff. We got 16 layers on.
We're just gonna slip in there all quiet. Get up in the stand, we've already got everything set up, so it shouldn't be a problem. You know, it's cold, it's windy. It's really windy today. Hopefully that wind lays out like it did last night and we'll be in business. I'm excited to be in Iowa, baby. Didn't see a whole lot. One little buck drinking out of the creek, which was pretty cool, and a handful of does. Even had some turkeys go up to roost at the end of the evening. But big bucks. We're day 2. Hadn't seen one yet.
We've got a single down here that Josh and I hung. We got Chad walking in here the other day, and he said, you know, he was just checking his trail camera, and he looked over, and right underneath our stand, about a 170 class buck stood up and stretched. So if he's wanting to bed in here, we're going to try to slip up in here, hang another stand here, and hopefully he'll be coming back to bed from feeding in these cornfields or doing whatever.
We got a deer in the field right now. It's looks like a broke up 10-pointer. Might be a 9-pointer, but almost all his tines are broken off. We're hoping there's going to be some deer moving through this little thick patch along this creek, maybe to feed in the cornfield. He just showed up, so that's a good sign. Hopefully they're going to move all morning instead of just early morning.
Try to hold back.
the end of day 3, and we decided to head back out to the spot I killed my doe. What we had learned from this hunting this stand a handful of times is we were seeing a lot of deer movement further down the valley. We're kind of up on a little bit of a hill, and down there in the creek bottom is where we saw a tremendous amount of deer activity. We felt like this spot right here was the spot to be in. We just had to walk in there and find the perfect tree.
I just might.
No, it's our last day, man. This is our Hail Mary stand right here. This is the last chance we got to kill a big buck in Iowa this year. Shot a doe, that was cool. Got some meat to show for it, but I want some meat and some bone to show for it. So we're on the best spot we know to be in. This is where we've seen all the deer from our other stand. This is a smoking spot. So we get settled in. Last chance, baby. Last chance. We're gonna get it done right now.
So we've got this doe bedded down. We've got this little buck milling around under the tree stand. And I look up and I see about 6 does that are acting kind of funny. I start looking around behind the does, and there he is, man. I just, threw out that sort of morally casual bleat to him. Much to my surprise, here he comes. So the deer walks into about 45 yards, but he stops in an area, it's like this. I just can't see through it to shoot him. The deer actually starts walking away, going back to his does, and I just, Lord, I know it's just a deer, but please let him come back so I can get a shot at him. The second that thought left my brain, he turned on a dime, walks right to the fence that we were on, and starts to hop the fence to give me about a 20 to 30 yard shot.
There.
No sense running, buddy. You're not going far. God brought that buck back, I'm telling you, because there's no way he was leaving. That's a great big old 10-pointer, baby.
Guess I wouldn't have done it the way. That was just water under the bridge. Looking back, guess I would have kept you to stay. That was just words to come.
It's been a tough season, baby.
You watch that arrow bury up right where your pin was, makes you want to freak out, man. That's the best feeling that you can get.
Because I waited far too long for a moment just like this. But you know that I just can't.
Me and Dean came out here for a second chance buck in Iowa, baby. Give me some, Dean. Give me some, baby. Yes.
To describe what I was feeling at that moment would be pretty much impossible.
Just coming back, we're not bloodshot because we feel like we know where he fell. And if we can't find him or something, we'll go back and get on blood.
It's definitely more than just about shooting a deer, and for us, it's
Put that camera on.
Yeah.
it's a two-part thing. We're successful in our business and what we're trying to do, and we're successful in carrying on the tradition of providing for your family and enjoying all that camaraderie together.
Oh, man. I pulled a stand pots in the tree stand, and now I don't have anything to say. I'm just so happy and thankful, man, to have this deer. Chris and Casey Kiefer invited me out on this hunt, man, and you know, I just got to thank them, dude. This has been truly the hunt of a lifetime, and people say that all the time on TV, but I mean, you know, we filmed 200-inch deer. We saw 170s like it was cool. Came back late season, man. It's December 2nd. You know, hit the bleat call one time, and he comes 170 yards right to the tree stand. He's starting to try to be a little 11-pointer, wasn't he? He can try all he wants to. He ain't gonna be nothing but a 10.
Yeah, he's done now.
Big thanks to Chad and the whole Johnston family, especially little Bo for helping me out with the deer, man. Just a great family. Mr. Kiefer, Chris, Casey, all you guys, man. Thank you so much for letting us hunt with you. You know, Ram Trucks is right there at the forefront. I got to thank them and everybody else who's involved in the show. We just have a great time. Hope you guys have a great time and are entertained and can laugh with us and at us and everything else during the week. And we'll see y'all next time right here on Ram's Red Arrow.
I didn't get a chance to put my face paint on. I didn't get to put my makeup on. I know I look terrible.
Look at that dude, man. Look at that junk right there. That's what got him in trouble.
Hey, there's some berries on the bill of the same thing.
You're gonna have to start making bigger tags in Iowa if I'm gonna keep coming back. Just can't fit it around his antler. People know me. I shoot big deer. I have many leather-bound books. My tree stand smells of rich doe urine. It's boring. It's part of my life. Definitely take a couple cell phone pictures before you leave him an inch. Could possibly knock the children down. Like, she gets like that, and it's hilarious.
She could knock the children
I mean, she's gonna just freak out. Like, look at this text message from Josh. I'm still waiting for a picture. The last minute, as always, your style.
Yeah, he knows.
That is hilarious,
No
dude.
kidding.
And what's gonna knock his socks off is when he actually gets one.
Man, this buck Chad killed was an absolute slippery sea lion sliding down a seesaw. We're all seeing great bucks at this point, but we're just because it is as it is. We don't go out there for nature watching. I'm not this ain't National Geographic. This is National Double Lung something and watch it bleed to death. No, we had a rough season this year. I mean, we always pulled it out at the end. That doesn't sound right. You know, hunting in Iowa is kind of like taking a morally casual girl to the prom. You know it's gonna happen, it's just a matter of time. That's so bad I can't even put it in words. We can't use that.